I believe in the sun even when it's not shining, and I believe in love even when there's no one there, and I believe in God even when he is silent. I believe through any trial there is always a way, but sometimes in the suffering and hopeless despair, my heart cries for shelter, to know someone's there. But a voice rises within me saying, hold on, my child, I'll give you strength, I'll give you hope, just stay a little while. I believe in the sun even when it's not shining, and I believe in love even when there's no one there, and I believe in God even when he is silent. I believe through any trial there is always a way. May there someday be sunshine, may there someday be happiness, may there someday be love, may there someday be peace. I talk to the birds, honest to God, all the time, every time when I go on a walk. Hi, I'm Nina. I never bring anybody for my walks, especially when I've got no makeup on and my hair is up like this, but today I felt inspired. As you can see, it's quite gray, has been misty. It's that gloomy day when if you're feeling bad, you're gonna feel real bad. And this is the day that reminds me of the poem that I just read because it inspires me. I know I've mentioned it on my channel probably more than once, but I think during these times of such difficulty and in a time when we're being told how different we are from one another and that we should be separated, when we are truly we're just brothers and sisters, and we are all meant to be together in health and in love and in peace and in joy and in happiness. And the gray skies just remind me that during these changes that we are part of, that you're going to go through these trials and tribulations. You're going to go through these times when you don't feel like God's listening, when you don't feel like you have what it takes. But the sun always comes out. God is always there. There is always some hope, even in the most desperate times. So I guess I just wanted to let those who probably need the message of hope to hold on. Look what is there. Blue skies. Even with the gray skies moving, the blue skies are coming out. Blue skies smiling at me. Oh, look, there's the sun. Nothing but blue skies can I see. That's awesome. So, my dear friends, as you saw from the intro, I had to take you along for my walk, but I also did one more thing. I wrote out a letter in which I kind of asked the universe to give us health, to give us wealth, to give us peace and understanding and grace and all those things that we need to get through life. And I took the piece of paper and I wanted to burn it so that the energies would go up to the universe. So I actually lit our candle with it, hoping that this would continue that energy and that prayer would come from our candle each time we lit it. You can even see where the black of the paper hit the candle, our candle that is lit for each and every one of us. So we had some really interesting questions and we're going to get to them now. So the first question is... Paula Wagstaff asked, does Trump have an Israel passport? Is he not considered a king in Israel? Is he connected at the hip with Netanyahu? Although Netanyahu seems to be in trouble also. Anyone know? So it is my understanding that anybody who becomes president basically gets this diplomatic passport, which allows them to go anywhere. And I think as president, he's allowed to keep it even after he's president. But, you know, the reality is that he's a well-known person. So I think that pretty much if he asked to go to any country, you know, they would make that decision and it wouldn't matter if he had a passport or not, kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? So let's just look past the passport part And Netanyahu has his own issues and problems going on. I mean, he's had an interesting life. He's now being pretty much put down the same road as Trump, being investigated for fraud and stuff. So I don't know that Netanyahu is actually considering or caring about Trump at this point. You know what I'm saying? So we'll look into, is there a possibility that Trump could leave the U.S.? If he really realizes that, jail time is coming, would he get on a plane and get out of Dodge? So let's have a look. First card up, we got the Two of Pentacles. So for Trump, he's like between a rock and a hard place. He doesn't know. Two of Pentacles is a delay. It's a delay time. So I think that he's leaving it as a possible option. I don't think it's something that's outside of the realm of possibility. I think he's waiting his time out to see what's going to happen with all these cases. Is there any chance? Because, in his head, he thinks that he has the ability to get out of this, or at least get a small smack on the hand and proceed to go on and become president or do whatever it is that he wants to do. So really, he's just not sure yet. He's leaving it as an option. What's going against it? What's going against it is the Sun. So probably one of the few things that Trump has said that is truthful is that he loves the United States. He has no want to leave the sunshine of Florida. I think he's pretty comfortable there. He has a lot of connections. He has his businesses here. His family's here. His children are here. He the only life that he knows is the one that he has here. Yes, he's had international dealings, but that he's never wanted to be anywhere else. Like, he truly loves the United States. What's going against him? Oh, that was what was going against him, is the fact that he loves the United States and he wants to stay. What's going for him is the Three of Cups. So I think there has probably been about 3 offers that Trump has, like that, other presidents or prime ministers have said, listen, if you want to get out of Dodge, we will be willing to take you. It doesn't matter about passport or anything else. This could be an indication that he has 3 passports, it's like when Trump was talking about them raiding his house, didn't he say something about taking 3 passports or something like that? So would Israel be among those 3, or more than 3, because it's sort of like he'd have a choice? Is Israel among those 3? Four of Swords. So, yes, he would support Trump, but Netanyahu, I'm sorry if I'm saying his name incorrectly. I'm doing the best I can. I think that because he's going through his own investigations on him, and he's pretty much cut off. So I don't think that, I think he supports him, but right now he doesn't know what his own fate will be, so he can't say, I'm going to be in power to be able to do it for you. So it's just sort of, he's like that friend, he's like that friend that you can't count on. That's pretty much how this reads. So, interesting. Thank you for the question. And our next question will be, M. Tulsa asks, question, how does Putin feel about Trump's indictment arrest? And I have to tell you, as soon as I read this question, when I first saw it, I had this image of Putin laughing, like on a picture where you see like he's sincerely like in the eyes laughing, which did not give me a good feeling, but let's do a reading. So, like I said, my first reaction was to see Putin laugh, and I think he just thinks this is awesome. He thinks that this mess that Trump is in is just dividing the states even more, which is exactly what he wanted to see happen. So let's look at Putin and see, how does he feel about Trump's... I'm just going to use those cards because they're trying to get out of my deck before I can even get to them. So how does Putin feel about it? Guys, I am telling you, he is laughing. He thinks this is hilarious. He thinks that this is the transformation of the United States to go from being this superpower, more or less like, watching the fall of Rome, and definitely being participated into that equation. This is what he wants. He wants to see the United States fall apart. He wants to see the United States death. So he's laughing. This is one of the things that he can check off his list that he wants, because you have no idea how I'm feeling right now. It's like this, like, oh, I actually feel angry, and I'm not angry. This is really weird. 9 of Wands. I think Putin is really struggling. I think that he's coming to the end of his reign. He's coming to the end of his physical years on Earth, to be honest with you. I think that makes him a dangerous character. I think he was definitely involved, obviously, through social media and stuff. I think that Trump has given Putin information. I've said this before, that gave exact locations as to where to send things to get things done. We've got the Emperor, so Putin is definitely somebody who is obsessed with the leaders of the United States. Right now, he sees Joe Biden. He sees Joe Biden as somebody who's trying to be, the voice of reason, trying to bring things back to some, modicum of normalcy, or of kindness, or just human. I don't know. I can't explain it. So he's also keeping an eye on Biden, and I'm sure he's supporting Trump behind the scenes. We got the Six of Cups, I'm sorry. He is definitely still holding on to the dream that he can take care of Ukraine and get Ukraine. He has this want to... It's like his whole purpose in life is based on in the past. And this is like a lifetime dream of his to see the U.S. in chaos. This is a lifetime dream of his to cause there to be questions and issues when it comes to democracy. This, I'm afraid, with the Six, reiterates the fact that Trump has given him information that he can use. Was it about Ukraine war? I mean, Paul Manafort, who was somebody who was really connected to Russia and really connected to Trump, and I haven't heard about him for a while, but he had strong connections with Russia. Is there any way that Ukraine could have been a war that was thought up even before in the time of Trump. And I think it's very possible. Jeez. I remember doing a reading in which we were talking about Ukraine, and I remember saying that somehow, some way, there was a previous plan made where decisions were made, and it's like this war was purposely put in place, that this war was not something that Ukraine actually wanted, nor really Russia. I feel like there's something nefarious about this Ukraine war, and it's going to come out. We got the devil. Putin got information from Trump. But prior to that, there was some kind of conversation about a war, some kind of retaliation that I really feel like there's something really negative here. Quick movement, quick information, rushing things, a lot of propaganda, a lot of stuff that's being thrown, and confusion. With the Queen of Cups, there is a cover-up here. There's a cover-up here, and it goes further. It goes back into the time of Donald Trump with his relationship with Putin. I think that there was some kind of discussion around it in which they made an agreement. I think Trump was probably going to allow for Putin to kind of take over Ukraine, like to make it easier, to whatever. There's something about it. And then there's like a conversation in which the idea of war was more planned, and to put pressure on Trump, and kind of like, who cares about Ukraine? There's something really nefarious here. There's something we don't know. And with the Queen of Cups, it's going to be covered up. There's something about the origins of the Ukraine war that is not correct, and it's something that even Putin didn't see coming, which made it stronger for him to want to see the end of the U.S. He's angry. Wow. Wow. Again, thank you for that question. I didn't expect it to get so detailed. But that was a really strong feeling. And like real anger in the beginning. I had to kind of just let it go, because I could feel this real hatred. Like there's true hatred from Putin against the U.S. So guys, here we are again. You didn't even know we were interrupted, but as I was doing my reading this morning, the alarm went off and I was rudely interrupted with the fact that I had to go to work. So I have been to work, I have had a bite to eat, I have my coffee right here. I know I probably showed this. Sorry for what I said before I had my Tim's. Tim's is just a word we use here. It's synonymous with coffee because that's the most famous coffee place. So, you don't say, do you want to go for a coffee? You say, do you want to go get Tim's? That kind of a thing. I love it. I got to wake myself up after work. Anywho, we have more questions to get to, so the next one is Salvador Martinez. Oh my God, is that a Tina Turner album on the shelf in the background? The Private Dancer album. Absolutely. I am in love with my queen, Tina Turner. Now, I realize this one is a little bit more of a observation. So I'm going to show you a few pictures around my room because Tina is everything to me. You have no idea. When I was young and I got a tape recorder, and you press record and you'd have fun with your friends, like the little ones. And my grandmother, who had no idea about what music was popular or even probably didn't really know what a tape was per se, got me this tape, and it was Ike and Tina Turner. And I was hooked at 10 years old. Before Tina came out as Tina Turner without Ike and all of that, I, as a 10-year-old, was hooked on Tina Turner. I don't know why. She just felt like my spirit soared. And I mean, I was 10 years old singing, when I was a little girl, I had a rag doll. I mean, I was just... And when she came out as in her private dancer and I got to meet her and she held my hand and put the mic in front of... I've told this story. I know. So, and I have like one of my first records. I mean, when I tell you I love her, and I do meditation to her probably at least once a week, if not more. So now that I've gotten to rave and have gratitude for Tina Turner, our next question will be 34th parallel. I would love to know what the Manchurian cantaloupe has on Lindsey Graham. Manchurian cantaloupe. That's good. Thank you for reading for us, Nina. Happy spring. Happy spring to you too, my darling. Michelle Woods. Hope you and your family had a wonderful Easter. Thank you, we did, and I hope you did too. Thank you for the reading on these issues involving Trump. As it is said, the mother of the child had signed an NDA to stay quiet and supposedly was paid off for doing so. The mother was a housekeeper of Trump's in the 80s, and the child is in late 30s or early 40s. I would love to know what Trump has on Lindsey Graham, as you must be something terrible. Very interesting and informative reading. Hope you have a great week. Thank you. Much love. Much love back to you, Michelle Woods. And yes, this is the second time I've been asked about reading Lindsey Graham. And I think I'm just going to have to be completely honest about it and lay the cards out on the table, as it were, and let's see what's happening. Okay, so that was two questions. Two people had asked about Lindsey Graham, the flip-flop that is known as Lindsey Graham. So I know there's been people that have said, Nina, we all know that he's allegedly gay. That's not a big deal. But for a man that is a Republican, for a man that coats himself in being anti-everything LGBTQ, everything. I mean, he has made sure that he is shut down, not signed off on, and has been very vocal about being anti-same-sex marriages and the whole 9 yards. And some of the things that I guess have added to the rumors, when he spent time overseas, I guess, and he said that they said that he was single, he had made a comment. I'll find it and I'll put it here, but he had made a comment about, no matter what you hear about what I did overseas, it was all heterosexual or something to that effect. I'm going to have to find it because I was just like, who says that? That just, And then allegedly, the reason why everybody calls him Lady G is that he is known to have allegedly hired gay porn performers, allegedly paid them, for sex. So, I thought, okay, let's not get into a reading about Lindsey Graham, the politician. Let's look at his life. Let's look at his first 25 years of life. What made him who he is? Let's look at, from 25 to 50 and see what happened there. And then let's look at him now. And let's just dive into Lindsey Graham. What is he truly all about? Do you know what I mean? Let's get some insight. It's obvious some of the things that, allegedly happened. But let's just get some insight into him and see, are these things real things? I mean, thou does protest too much, because that's awkward to say. It was all heterosexual, I don't know, that's weird. But appreciate, when he was coming up, he was a man who was brought up in a time where being gay was not only not accepted, I mean, it could have legal consequences. It could ruin your career. It could, you know what I mean? So, okay, Lindsey, let's look at your past. Let's pull 4 cards concerning his past. Sorry. Wow. Okay. See, now I already, even before I've even started, I feel bad for him. Because in his life from 0 to 25, there is major tragedy. Something happened to him that really changed his outlook on life. It changed the way that his perspectives happened. This was like major tragedy had to have happened to him, something life altering at a very young age. And when you have trauma at a young age, being like before 25, because your frontal cortex doesn't even fully develop until then, so something really awful happened to him. And then we've got the 4 of Cups. It's like he's being offered something that he just doesn't want. So I think life just kind of, whatever tragedy, it wasn't what he wanted, but it's like just having to accept it, right? But then I see the 5 of Pentacles. So it's having a hard time. It's having, and it's the 2 of him. It's 2 characters here. So him having responsibilities, responsibility for another. Weren't brought up rich. He kind of always gave his hand-me-downs down, or he sacrificed so that his sibling could have. There's just some kind of connection here, but at the same time, there is this fight that goes on between Lindsey Graham, and it is a spiritual one in which he feels like his face is pressed up against the church window, and he knows what he wants to be, but he is outside of that. He's outside of that which he claims to believe. He's outside of all of these things. So he questions God. He has this need, and that's why it ends with the 8 of Swords. So it's a belief system. It's a way of life. It's a way of doing without, but it's all being done by himself, to himself. He could get out of this. This is all the thoughts that he has. So he keeps himself in this negative cycle. There must have been a lot of experiences in his childhood that really brought on his strong convictions. There's definitely some kind of childhood trauma, some kind of tragedy that ended up being something that he did not want, but it was almost like life this is what life, this is what life has offered you and you just got to take it. But it caused some really hard times. And I know that he has a sibling, so I feel like he probably had somebody who shared in those hard times with him, but he took it as a whatever this childhood from 0 to 25, it caused him to create these thoughts about himself and about his surroundings and about his belief systems, and he had to live by these core thoughts. These are thoughts that were embedded in him, and this is why he struggled and still, you know, wanted this strong connection to God, wanted to have this spiritual connection to God, but had this trouble with God that it really affected him. Very interesting. I'm sorry, I'm just going to take a sip of coffee. I have been sneezing up a storm, so I don't know if it's just that at work I got into some dust and now I'm just having some allergies for it, or if I'm coming down with a cold or something. I don't know. I just don't know. Don't ask me anymore. I just don't know. Okay, sorry guys. Let's get in from 25 to 50. What was his life between 25 to 50? Okay. What? Lindsey Graham is getting really interesting cards. Okay. From 25 to 50, we've got the Fool. We've got the Devil. I think starting off, with the Fool here, we can see that I think his self-expression, what he was mentally trying to completely ignore and stop from his growing up years is to do with his sexuality. I think these alleged parties probably did happen and occur. I think that there is more to this than just the Lady G story. I think there could be some how do I say this without being demonetized? The devil is very perverse. So anything that the devil represents in you, that is your devil, that is your cross to bear, the devil shows that you do it in a dangerous, sometimes outside the lines kind of way. So if we're looking at the fact that we are looking at these alleged parties to be something that was true, we can see there was a lot of kink, and the kink went further than just the parties. There's chains, whips, all kinds of interesting things. But then I get the Three of Wands. And normally I would say waiting for your ships to come in, but I see this as the devil followed him on his trips from away. I think that he indulged in the same behaviors that he had experienced here with these Lady G's, alleged Lady G parties. I think that these are things that happened within the country, but also outside of the country. And here is what caused his death. This secret that people ignored in Washington, that just don't care what he's doing or what he's doing behind closed doors, that kind of a thing. Like, I think it was like John McCain had made a comment that I've heard of all these beautiful girlfriends that Lindsey Graham has had, but I've never met one of them. So there's always this continuous rumor about him in Washington. But I think the major fault with Lindsey Graham is that these activities were done away, and that was the death of him. They had information on him. I'm just like, my mind is just kind of going, because I'm thinking, we always said, Donald Trump knew secrets about Lindsey Graham. This is why Lindsey Graham would flip flop all over about Donald Trump. That Donald Trump had some kind of secret on him that he could tell. But then Lindsey Graham started off by calling him a jackass. And then Lindsey Graham would flip flop and he would still try to defend himself against Trump. And then as soon as he would say one thing about Trump, it's like he was a puppet and a string got pulled and he was like, oh yeah, I forgot. So I'm getting the feeling that because of these two cards, that it is not Donald Trump directly, it is somebody who wants Donald Trump to be Donald Trump. He wants Donald Trump, or she wants Donald Trump, to cause the corruption in the U.S. I can't help it. I'm thinking about Putin. I'm thinking about China. Wow, 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 wow. Okay. That just, it was just like this inspiration that made so much sense. Because there are times when Lindsey Graham was able to speak out about Trump and kind of go, Trump, he doesn't speak for us, or there's just this back and forth. But as soon as he would say something, he would be drawn back in as though he was being, chastised. Like, don't forget, we own you, so you do as we want you to do when it comes to Donald Trump. Okay, so let's look at 50 and beyond, kind of like 50 and what's building up to where he is now. I don't blame him for that. I think our inspiration was exactly right. This is the Lover's card. These are major decisions that you've made that affect your future. So I think the decisions that he made in the past are the ones that are haunting him. That's the problems that come back and affect him. He is so stressed out. Um, it's like, yes, he's a total dick, but it feels as though he loves the US. And even if he's a flip flop, he really has, worked with both sides. He's worked he's been a career politician. The the past, the things that he had done in the past, he had thought were kind of dead and buried because they didn't affect him during his time. That it was sort of like it was when Trump came along, that's when somebody decided, hey, remember, we've got pictures, we've got proof. And this is completely stressing him out. He can't sleep at night, and he's always getting phone calls, emails, text messages. Just information, pamphlets, phone calls, being told what to do. And he's the chariot. He doesn't know which way to go. That's why he flip-flops. He's trying to, in his own way, funnily enough, he's trying to go down the line where he's not completely gone against the US, but he's still doing what people want him to do. It's really bizarre. And then this is also a card that if I was looking at your love life, I would be saying that there's somebody who's thinking about you. There's somebody who is drawn to you and that you're drawn to, and that you're looking at your option, which is interesting because then I get the Empress. It's like I feel that he is going to flip-flop and do whatever he has to do to see himself through his time. But I do feel like there's a time when he's going to choose love in the privacy of his own home. It will be delayed, but I do think there's already somebody that he loves that he has turned away because of all his convictions, because of his confusion, because he's just, it's such a feeling of that, it's such a feeling of if he hadn't had this secret, if this wasn't an issue, we would be talking about Lindsey Graham as being a man of honor. We would be talking about him as a man who can see both sides of the situation, and even though he's Republican, he's able to lean and change and be reasonable. But it's because of the childhood trauma that created this self-imposed way of obedience that he had to be. And he, worked against it during his years, and he did something overseas, and that was the end of that. But there's still the possibility of him choosing love in the privacy of his own home. I say the privacy of his own home because I feel like this is something that he wouldn't want anybody to know, even though it's acceptable, and that somebody has been in and out of his life. This is somebody that he actually loves. So interesting because I really get this feeling, like this strong, and I'm shocked. I'm like really shocked that I'm getting this really strong feeling that had this tragedy not happened, had he not had to have this mindset forced on him, that he would have learned to accept and to move, and he would have been an advocate. That was a very interesting read about Lindsey Graham, I have to say. I wasn't expecting it to kind of go down that avenue, but I have to tell you what the cards say and what I get inspired to think and feel, because sometimes I don't even think it's my thoughts. I think it's just the vibes come in or the energy comes in, and there it is. So, all right, I'm getting tired and I have more questions to do, but I think I will have to do it in video number 2 because after work I'm tired and I can feel it. No amount of coffee is going to keep me up. So I'm going to leave it there. As always, I have our unity candle lit for each and every one of us, and I will be putting out our weekly vibes this Saturday night, or Sunday morning. So if you haven't checked them out, please feel free to do so. They're fun, they're interesting, and at the minimum, they'll give you something interesting to think about. And I will definitely be coming out with video number 2. I have the weekend off, so you never know. I might even get it done. Let's not make any promises, but I might get it done by Sunday and have your questions answered. My God, speak English. See, I'm tired. I can't keep going, guys. I can't keep going. So now that you know I'm answering your questions under this video, if you're like, oh my God, Nana, I have another question based on what you said, or you just have a random question. It could be political. It could be about something that happened in the past, or whatever it is that your heart desires. I'm here to listen and answer to. So feel free to leave new questions below. I will keep track of them and I will incorporate them into my readings. So I thank you very much for being a co-creator with me on everything that I do, because you have been with your energies from day one, and with your participation by listening and being part of it and being part of the journey, and now asking fabulous questions. So until the next one, I'm pretty sure we did the candle, but I'm so scared if I didn't. But I'll do it again, because why not? As always, I have our unity candle lit for each and every one of us. And until the next time we chat, cheerio, take care, and God bless, my dear, dear friend.